Kia ora, a fairly active afternoon in store as rainfall continues on its journey in from the west. Some heavy falls expected across many parts of New Zealand. You can see this rain already pushing in towards the western side of the Southland, making its way up in towards those northern areas as well. Heavy rainfall warnings for western parts of the Tasman area and even in towards the ranges out towards the likes of Marlborough as well. But you'll notice that this rain is also sliding across in towards Northland and overnight in towards Auckland as well. Embedded within that, some really intense bursts of rainfall, perhaps even some thunderstorms as well. While down south, we've still got that cold air. So we'll also find some snowfall across central parts of Otago, above about 800 metres. But still, I think, a very unsettled looking story. As we head through the night time, we'll continue to see this rain moving across in towards Auckland, a windy, wet night for you, some pretty intense bursts of rainfall through there, in towards the Coromandel, those winds increasing as well, and that rainfall spreading across the Northland in towards particularly the place like the Bay of Plenty and Taranaki Maunga. So I think we are going to find a pretty wet looking night there. And then as we head in towards tomorrow, in towards Thursday, this system continues on its journey, taking that rain away from the western side of the Northland. So an improving story there. It takes its time to clear away from the likes of, say, the eastern Bay of Plenty and those northern parts of Tairāwhiti. And the rain then feeds background on these easterly winds into the likes of, say, eastern Otago and Dunedin. So with that in mind, we have got plenty of severe weather warnings and watches in place. Now these first ones are for the rain and the snowfall. The snowfall down here through central Otago, those areas above about 800 metres. They're still impacting some of those higher roads down through parts of the Queenstown Lakes area, but also that heavy rainfall pushing back through towards Thursday and Friday for Dunedin. And we've also got the heavy rain warnings through the westland parts of Tasman, Richmond, Bryant Ranges, Taranaki Maunga as well, Mount Taranaki, and also those eastern parts of the Bay of Plenty. Watches elsewhere for, like, say, Northland, Coromandel, the Bay of Plenty, and even in towards that western coast of the South Island. We've also got the risk of some thunderstorms and some really intense downpours of rain, not out of the question. Localised downpours through parts of, say, Northland and Auckland as we head through the evening and overnight tonight, parts of the Coromandel and the Bay of Plenty as we head into Thursday, and some stronger winds as well. So we have got a strong wind watch for everywhere from, say, Great Barrier Island through the Coromandel and the Bay of Plenty, really from the latter part of Wednesday overnight, really, and in towards the early parts of Thursday. For the latest information on those warnings, the best place to go to is the Met Service website. They have all the latest forecasts and updates throughout the day and even in towards the night time as well. Taking a look at Thursday, though, we can see on the Northland we start off with that wet weather, some heavier falls perhaps through the night time, places like Auckland and the Coromandel. The Bay of Plenty, that rain continues to feed through. Some heavy falls about these eastern areas, particularly, say, east of Whakatane, and up in towards those northern parts of the Gisborne, Tairāwhiti area. Elsewhere, things will improve through the daytime, but it's a wet start today, and it's a pretty windy one, especially for the likes of, say, the Coromandel, the Bay of Plenty, Rotorua, but also these southern parts of Taranaki. A blustery night for you as well, with some strong gusts there as we head in towards the early hours of the morning for Thursday. But gradually, it's an improving story, but rather a wet one. Keep an eye on those warnings and watches through the night time tonight. In terms of our temperatures, still relatively mild to start things off on Thursday morning. Top temperatures in Auckland, 17 degrees Celsius. A little bit cooler as we head through the night time Thursday into Friday. Down on the South Island, again, we have that wet weather, places like Marlborough and Nelson to start the day. And you can see rain feeds in towards Canterbury and Otago, and it sticks with us through there. A bit of a clearer slot down that western coast for a time, but I think we are going to find this rain takes its time to clear through the likes of Marlborough. So it starts off pretty wet, one or two heavier falls to watch out for, especially about the ranges to the west there. As this whole system starts to take a bit of a dive down towards the south, we'll find some clearer skies back in the north later in the day. But down south, we'll find this rain continues to feed in. So there is that risk of some heavy rainfall persisting through parts of Otago. Now, down these southern areas, it's been pretty wet throughout the entirety of September. So this rain has fallen on top of a really saturated soil, so do take extra care and extra caution. But you can see a fairly wet looking story down the south there for Dunedin, with rain pretty much throughout the daytime. A bit of an improvement for Christchurch. We'll find some clearer skies arriving just in time for the end of the day. In terms of our temperatures down on the South Island, I think we're looking at highs of only around about 11 or 12 degrees Celsius in Dunedin, a bit better up towards Christchurch, 14 degrees Celsius, but nothing too cold across those eastern areas through the night time, thanks to a fair covering of cloud. Now on in towards Friday, you can see this low pressure that's been driving the weather stays quite close by. High pressure out towards the east of us blocks the movement of this, and that continues to give us this feed of air, bringing that wet weather in towards the far southern parts of the country, Southland, Otago, up in towards the southern parts of Canterbury. A bit of a wet looking story for you. We keep hold of that cloud as well, even up in towards Canterbury. Further north, for Friday, I think you're between two systems. So for the North Island, it's a much better, drier, brighter day through there. We'll still find a rather blustery one, perhaps through parts of the day, down through parts of Cook Strait. But I think for Friday, the wettest areas will be down in the south. So really worth keeping a close eye on those severe weather watches and warnings. In towards the weekend, the low pressure takes its time to come through. It does feed more showers back across these western parts of the North Island and the top of the South Island as we head through in towards Saturday. Perhaps one or two sharper ones there, perhaps even the odd rumble of thunder, not out of the question. But I think we are looking at Friday being a bit of a glimmer of hope with some drier and brighter weather across the North Island. That's it from me. There's more at metservice.com.